Why power snatches are important for athletes. Today I want to talk with you about how power snatches can improve athletic performance and the role of power snatches in injury prevention. So in my work as a strength and conditioning coach, my main objective is improving performance and preventing injuries. So how does the power snatch help with improving performance, and how does it help with preventing injuries? The power snatch is one of the best exercises if we talk about power production. Remember, power is force multiplied by velocity. And if we're looking at the force velocity curve, for some that concept might be new. I just try to explain it quickly. I do another video on that. So we have a curve and it starts with high force on one side and it ends with low force. And you have the force on one axis and the velocity on the other axis. And you see that there's a relationship between exercises where you need to produce high force and velocity is low. So we can imagine if we lift a heavy object off the ground, it can take a few seconds until completion of that exercise. On the other hand, the low force and high velocity, so if we think about throwing a tennis ball is relatively light. If we throw that, it goes very fast. So high velocity, but low force required just because it's not very heavy. So what we see is in most incidences we train a lot on the end of the high forces and on the end of the high velocities. So the power snatch is an exercise that basically bridges the two continuum together. Yeah? So it works with a high velocity and also allows to work with high forces. The power snatch also works on the triple extension. I've talked about that before. So every sport that involves running, jumping, throwing or anything like that, we have a triple extension of the body. So the triple extension refers to extension of the hip, knee and ankle, which is involved in these activities, running, jumping, throwing. One thing that is often overlooked, the power snatch also, especially because you have to catch a weight over your head, it works on the vertical stability. So really the stability from top to bottom. And one thing I particularly like about the power snatch is you need to work what I call precisely. What that means, if you do a power clean or if you do a back squat, there's always a bit of a way to muscle the weight up. In a power snatch, if you don't control the weight in the right position, you won't be successful in that lift. So what that means is you really have to find the right spot where you catch the weight over your head and then get up. Which also leads to a lot of frustration in athletes because just 1 centimeter can make the difference between making the lift or losing it. From an injury prevention standpoint, the power snatch also has a few benefits if done correctly. Because you catch the weight overhead, and the better you get, the heavier the weight is, it really works on the mechanism of shoulder stability, yeah? So to lock the weight out and control it. So if done correctly, with proper technique, it enhances shoulder stability, important for throwing and betting sports. Another thing, the vertical stability also enhances trunk stability. And the last thing, in my opinion, because we catch the weight overhead and we have to decelerate the weight, called eccentric control, it also helps us learning to absorb forces, which is important in sports where you have a lot of impact from jumping or running. Yeah? So as a recap, performance improvement through power production, performance improvement teaching the triple extension, and performance improvements because you just have to work precisely and work on the coordinative pattern. Injury prevention enhances shoulder stability, enhances trunk stability, and works on the eccentric control, absorbing forces.